My name is Ethan Carter. I am 30 years old, and I always believed my future had already been written. Every dream I had included Olivia Brooks standing beside me. That belief died the moment I opened a white envelope waiting outside my apartment door. I frowned. Who still sends wedding invitations? I laughed for 1 second before reading the names. My smile disappeared. Olivia Brooks and Nathan Hayes. No, I whispered. This has to be a joke. My hands began shaking. I read the card again and again, hoping the words would somehow change. They never did. The wedding was only 10 days away. I dropped into my chair and stared at the invitation. How could you do this? I asked the empty room. You promised me forever. A knock interrupted my thoughts. Ethan. Mia called. Are you home? Come in. She stepped inside carrying 2 cups of coffee. The moment she saw my face, her smile vanished. What happened? I handed her the invitation without saying a word. She read it slowly. Oh, Ethan. She's marrying someone else. I'm so sorry. She disappeared 6 months ago without a single explanation. Now this. I rubbed my forehead. Was everything we had just a lie? Mia sat beside me. Don't decide that so quickly. What else am I supposed to think? She loved you. She said she did. There's a difference. I looked at her. She wouldn't leave unless something serious happened. I laughed bitterly. So now we're making excuses for her. No, I'm asking you not to let anger decide everything. Before I could answer, my phone rang. Daniel. I answered immediately. Have you seen it? He asked. So you know. Yes. Tell me you understand this because I don't. I don't understand it either, he replied. That's exactly why I think something is wrong. There's nothing wrong. She found someone richer, someone better. That doesn't sound like Olivia. You haven't been staring at this invitation for the last hour. No, Daniel said calmly. But I've known her almost as long as I've known you. She left me. She disappeared. What's the difference? The difference, he answered, is that leaving is a choice. Disappearing usually means something forced it. I closed my eyes, trying to silence the memories that suddenly flooded back into my mind. Her laughter. Her promise. Her tears the last night I saw her. None of it made sense anymore. I opened my eyes and looked at the invitation again. Every letter felt heavier than before. Olivia's name beside Nathan Hayes refused to look real, yet I could not escape it. Mia touched my shoulder. Ethan, say something. What am I supposed to say? Tell me what you're feeling. I feel like someone ripped my future away. Daniel stayed quiet for a moment before speaking again through the phone. Meet me tomorrow. Why? Because sitting alone won't give you answers. I don't need answers. Yes, you do. I already have one. No, you have an assumption. His words annoyed me. You always defend her. I defend the truth. The truth is she left. The truth is we don't know why. I ended the call before he could say anything else. Mia sighed. You shouldn't have done that. I can't listen to people making excuses. She never lied to you before. I stared at the engagement ring hidden inside my desk drawer. I was going to ask her to marry me. I know. I even picked the place. I know. She never gave me the chance. Mia looked at me with tears in her eyes. You don't have to hate her tonight. I don't hate her. Then what do you feel? I answered without thinking. I feel abandoned. The room became silent. After Mia left, I walked onto my apartment balcony. The city lights looked exactly the same, but nothing inside me felt familiar anymore. I whispered into the cold night. Why didn't you tell me? The only answer was the wind. I remembered our last conversation. I'll always choose you, Olivia had said with a smile. I had believed every word. Now those words felt like broken glass inside my heart. I looked at the invitation one final time. 10 days. That was all the time left before she became another man's wife. Part of me wanted to burn the card and forget she had ever existed. Another part refused to let the story end without hearing her voice. One question kept echoing inside my mind. If you stopped loving me, why couldn't you tell me yourself? I picked up my phone and sent Daniel a short message. I'll go with you. He replied almost immediately. Good. Don't make any decisions until you've looked her in the eyes. I slipped the invitation into my jacket pocket. No matter how much it hurts, I whispered, I'm coming to that wedding. I wasn't going there to beg. I wasn't going there to stop the ceremony. I was going because I deserved one honest answer. Even if that answer destroyed the last piece of my heart forever. 3 days passed, but the invitation never left my pocket. Every morning I promised myself I would stop thinking about Olivia. Every night I failed. The closer the wedding came, the louder my memories became. Daniel picked me up after work. You look terrible, he said. I haven't slept. I guessed that. I keep asking the same question. And I still don't have an answer. He glanced at me before speaking again. Do you remember the day you proposed? I never got the chance. You carried the ring for months. I wanted everything to be perfect. You told me she'd say yes before you even asked. I believed she would. You were probably right. His confidence irritated me. How can you still believe in her? Because people don't erase 6 years without a reason. I looked out the window. Maybe they do. He parked outside a small coffee shop. Come on. We sat near the window, and neither of us spoke for several minutes. Finally, I broke the silence. I keep hearing her voice. What does she say? She says, I'll never leave you. Daniel lowered his cup. Then stopped, remembering only the ending. What do you mean? Remember everything. I sighed. She stayed beside me when I couldn't afford rent. She did. She celebrated every promotion. She did. She visited your father every weekend before he passed away. I closed my eyes. She never missed one visit. So ask yourself one question. What? Does that sound like someone who would suddenly stop loving you? Before I could answer, my phone vibrated. Mia. Where are you? She asked. With Daniel. I just saw Olivia. My heart skipped. Where? At the wedding rehearsal. I stood immediately. Are you serious? Yes. Was she happy? Mia stayed quiet. Mia. She smiled. I looked down. I knew it. But her smile didn't reach her eyes. I frowned. What do you mean? She looked exhausted. That doesn't change anything. It might. How? She was still wearing your necklace. I froze. My necklace. The silver one you gave her on your 5th anniversary. She could have forgotten to take it off. No. How do you know? She touched it every few seconds like it was giving her strength. Daniel looked at me. What did Mia say? I swallowed hard. She never took off my necklace. Neither of us spoke for several seconds. Finally Daniel whispered, Ethan, people don't hold on to reminders of someone they stopped loving. I wanted to argue. Instead, I silently stared toward the church across the street where the rehearsal was about to begin. I took a deep breath and walked inside the church with Daniel beside me. My heartbeat grew louder with every step. Then I saw her. Olivia. She turned toward me for one brief second. Ethan, she whispered. Hi. Her lips formed a gentle smile, but her eyes told another story. They looked tired, frightened, and filled with a sadness I had never seen before. You look well, she said quietly. I've had better weeks. She lowered her eyes. I'm glad you came. Before I could ask another question, a man stepped between us. You must be Ethan, he said, offering his hand. I'm Nathan Hayes. I hesitated before shaking it. I've heard about you. I imagine you have, he replied. Thank you for coming. His voice held no arrogance. I frowned. I expected you to hate me. Why would I? You're marrying the woman I love. He looked at Olivia, then back at me. I don't enjoy seeing anyone hurt. His answer only confused me more. A firm voice echoed across the room. Nathan. Nathan straightened immediately. Yes, father. An older man walked toward us with slow, confident steps. I don't believe we've met, he said. I'm Ethan Carter. His eyes studied me carefully. So you're Ethan. Something about his smile felt cold. Enjoy the rehearsal, he said before walking away. The moment he left, the room seemed lighter. I watched Olivia's shoulders relax for only a second before tensing again. Near the front row stood Grace Brooks. She smiled weakly at me. Mrs. Brooks, I said softly. It's good to see you, Ethan. Are you all right? I'm managing. Before she could continue, Richard glanced toward her. She immediately looked down and stepped away without another word. Daniel leaned close. Did you see that? I did. She looked scared. So did Olivia. The rehearsal ended, but my questions only multiplied. Outside, Daniel answered a phone call while I wandered behind the church. Then I heard raised voices. You promised. Olivia cried. I decide what happens, Richard answered sharply. This isn't fair. Fair has nothing to do with it. You're hurting innocent people. You should worry about keeping your own promises. I moved closer, trying to hear more. Olivia's voice trembled. Please, don't involve. A branch snapped beneath my foot. Richard turned instantly. Who's there? Our eyes met. His expression hardened. Well, he said calmly, it seems we have an audience. Olivia looked at me with panic filling her eyes. Ethan, she said quickly, forcing a smile, it's nothing. We were only discussing wedding arrangements. I knew she was lying. The fear in her face was too real. I nodded without arguing, but my heart refused to believe her words. As Daniel and I walked away, I whispered, this isn't the story I thought it was. He looked at me. What do you believe now? I stared back at the church. I believe Olivia is hiding something, and whatever it is, she's terrified of Richard Hayes. I barely slept after leaving the church. Richard's voice kept echoing inside my head, and Olivia's frightened expression refused to disappear. By sunrise, I had already made my decision. I called Daniel. Are you awake? I've been waiting for your call. I don't think Olivia betrayed me. I know. I need proof. Then meet me. An hour later, I walked into Daniel's office. He closed the door. I've been digging into Richard Hayes. You already started. The moment I saw him. What did you find? Enough to know he isn't an honest businessman. My heartbeat quickened. Tell me. Several companies connected to him disappeared after lawsuits. That's suspicious. It gets worse. He handed me a folder. Read this. I flipped through several pages. Why would so many people accuse him of threats? Because powerful people often believe fear is cheaper than kindness. I looked at Daniel. So Olivia might really be trapped. That's what I've believed from the beginning. My phone suddenly rang. The screen showed an unfamiliar number. I answered. Hello. Ethan. Yes. This is Grace Brooks. I stood immediately. Mrs. Brooks. Can we meet? Of course. Please come alone. I'll be there. She gave me the address before ending the call. Daniel looked at me. That sounded serious. I think she's ready to tell me something. Be careful. I will. An hour later, I knocked on the door of a quiet little house. Grace opened it slowly. Thank you for coming. You sounded frightened. I am. She invited me inside. The room felt peaceful, but her hands would not stop shaking. I owe you the truth, she whispered. You don't owe me anything. Yes, I do. She wiped tears from her eyes. After my husband died, everything collapsed. I stayed silent. He borrowed money from Richard Hayes to save our family business. I never knew. Neither did Olivia until it was too late. What happened? The business failed. And the debt remained. She nodded. Richard demanded repayment. Why didn't you tell me? Because he made sure we couldn't. Before she continued, another woman entered the room carrying a medical bag. Grace looked toward her. This is Dr. Helen Morris. The doctor smiled gently. I'm Grace's physician. Nice to meet you. She looked at Grace with concern. You shouldn't upset yourself. Grace shook her head. I've hidden the truth long enough. Dr. Morris placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. Then tell him everything. Grace faced me again. Richard knew I was seriously ill. I felt my stomach tighten. He used my illness against Olivia. My voice barely escaped. How? Grace closed her eyes. Because he knew, a daughter will sacrifice almost anything to save her mother. I could not speak for several seconds. She did all this because of you. I finally asked. Grace nodded through her tears. And because of you. What do you mean? She loved you too much to watch Richard destroy your future. I felt my chest tighten. I don't understand. Grace reached into a small wooden drawer beside her chair. There is something Olivia wanted you to have. She placed a sealed envelope in my hands. My name was written across the front in Olivia's handwriting. My fingers trembled. She wrote this 6 months ago, Grace whispered. Why didn't she send it? Richard found out. My voice cracked. So she never had the chance. Grace slowly nodded. Read it. I carefully opened the envelope. The first line blurred behind my tears. Ethan, if you're reading this, it means I failed to protect both of us. I swallowed hard and continued. I never stopped loving you. I never will. Every smile I gave someone else belonged to you first. Please don't hate me before you know the truth. My hands shook even harder. Grace quietly looked away while I kept reading. Richard Hayes threatened to destroy your career if I refused Nathan. He promised every company would close its doors to you. He also promised to take our home and leave my sick mother with nothing. I believed him because I've already seen what he can do. A tear landed on the paper. I wanted to run away with you. I imagined it every single day. But I couldn't risk losing you and my mother at the same time. If sacrificing my happiness keeps you safe, then I will carry that pain alone. Please forgive me someday. I will always love you. Olivia. The letter slipped from my hands. I judged her, I whispered. You didn't know, Grace replied. I called her a liar. She never blamed you. I thought she chose another man. She chose to protect the people she loved. I covered my face. I failed her. No, Grace said softly. You were deceived. Dr. Helen Morris stepped closer. I treated Grace for months, she said. Richard knew exactly how serious her condition was. I heard enough conversations to know Olivia was being pressured. Would you tell that to the police? Yes, she answered without hesitation. A knock interrupted us. Daniel entered with an older man. Ethan, he said, this is Detective Samuel Reed. He's retired, but he's helped expose men like Richard before. Samuel offered his hand. I've reviewed Daniel's evidence. Can we stop Richard? If we work together and gather enough proof, yes. I picked up Olivia's letter and held it against my heart. I came here hoping to stop a wedding. Samuel looked at me. And now? I looked at every face in the room before answering. Now I want to free Olivia. Daniel smiled. That's the Ethan I know. I folded the letter carefully and placed it inside my jacket. I won't let Richard decide our future anymore. For the first time since receiving that invitation, my heart no longer burned with anger. It burned with purpose. The wedding morning arrived faster than I wanted. I stood outside the church holding Olivia's letter inside my jacket. This time, I wasn't there to win her back. I was there to give her the freedom she had sacrificed everything to protect. Daniel walked beside me. Are you ready? I don't know. You don't have to be fearless. I just have to keep going. Detective Reed joined us near the entrance. The financial records are verified, he said. What about the recordings? Copied and secured. The witnesses? They're waiting for my signal. I took a slow breath. If this fails, Richard will come after everyone. Reed looked me in the eyes. He already has. We entered the church together. Guests filled every row. Soft music echoed through the room. Then I saw Olivia. She stood at the front wearing a beautiful white dress, but her smile looked painfully forced. For one brief moment, our eyes met. She looked surprised. Then worried. Almost as if she feared why I had come. Nathan stood beside her. When he noticed me, he gave a small nod. I returned it. The minister smiled warmly. We are gathered here today. I barely heard another word. My heart pounded harder with every second. Daniel leaned toward me. Wait until the right moment. I nodded. The ceremony continued. The minister turned toward Nathan. Do you take Olivia Brooks to be your lawfully wedded wife? Nathan answered without hesitation. I do. Then the minister faced Olivia. And do you? I object. Every head turned toward me. Silence swallowed the church. Olivia stared at me with tears already filling her eyes. Nathan looked confused. Richard slowly stood. I knew this would happen, he said coldly. He pointed at me. You're here because you can't accept losing. I stepped forward. No. Richard laughed. Then why interrupt my son's wedding? I didn't come to stop a marriage. Really? I came to stop a crime. Whispers spread through the church. Richard's smile disappeared. You should leave before you embarrass yourself. I pulled a folder from my jacket. These bank records belong to your companies. His face stiffened. You forged those. No. I held up another document. These are signed agreements proving illegal transfers. Richard folded his arms. Meaningless. Detective Reed stepped beside me. They've already been verified. Richard's confidence faltered for the first time. I looked directly at Olivia. You're not alone anymore. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She whispered only one word. Ethan. For the first time since receiving the invitation, I wasn't speaking as the man she left. I was speaking as the man who finally knew the truth. Richard stepped toward me with an angry smile. You've brought papers. Is that supposed to frighten me? No, I answered. The truth should. He pointed at the door. Leave before I have you removed. I won't. Detective Reed opened another folder. These recordings contain threats made by Richard Hayes. Richard scoffed. They're fake. Daniel connected a small speaker. Richard's voice filled the silent church. Marry Nathan, or Ethan's career disappears. Your mother loses everything. Gasps echoed around the room. Richard's face turned pale. Nathan stared at his father. Dad, what is this? Richard snapped. Turn that off. Nathan shook his head. Answer me. I did what was necessary. You threatened her. I protected this family. You destroyed it, Nathan replied quietly. I turned toward Olivia. You don't have to carry this alone anymore. She covered her mouth as tears streamed down her face. I wanted to tell you, she whispered. I know. I was afraid. I know. She stepped away from the altar. I never stopped loving you, Ethan. The room fell silent again. She faced everyone. I agreed to this wedding because Richard threatened my mother and Ethan. I believed sacrificing myself was the only way to save them. Grace stood from the front row. My daughter is telling the truth. Dr. Helen Morris stepped forward. I treated Grace for months. Richard knew how serious her illness was. Richard pointed at them. They're lying. Detective Reed calmly replied, The evidence says otherwise. The church doors opened. Several police officers walked inside. One officer unfolded a document. Richard Hayes, you are under arrest for financial fraud, blackmail, witness intimidation, and related offenses. Richard backed away. You can't do this. The officer answered firmly. We already have. As they placed handcuffs on him, Richard glared at me. This isn't over. I met his stare without fear. It ended the moment people stopped believing your lies. Nathan slowly approached Olivia. I'm sorry, he said. I never knew. She nodded through her tears. I know. I hope one day you can forgive me. You're not the man who trapped me. He gave me a sad smile. Take care of her. I will. The officers escorted Richard outside while stunned guests watched in silence. I reached for Olivia's trembling hand. You're free. She squeezed my fingers. I thought I'd lost you forever. You almost did. Can you ever forgive me? I looked into her tear-filled eyes. We'll heal one honest conversation at a time. She nodded. For the first time in months, the weight crushing my heart disappeared. The wedding that was meant to bury our future became the day the truth finally set us free. 6 months passed after Richard's arrest. Life did not magically become perfect, but it finally became honest. For the first time in a long while, honesty felt more valuable than happiness. Mia sat across from me at breakfast. You smiled this morning, she said. Did I? Yes. That's concerning. She laughed. I missed hearing you joke. I missed feeling like myself. She reached across the table. You're not the same person anymore. No. Do you hate who you've become? I thought about the question carefully. I think I finally understand who I am. She smiled softly. Good. I looked out the window. Some days I still feel angry. That's normal. Some days I feel guilty. Also normal. I judged Olivia before I knew the truth. Mia nodded. And what have you learned? I took a slow breath. That forgiveness isn't the same as forgetting. She pointed at me. Exactly. I laughed quietly. You sound wiser than your older brother. I've always been wiser. My phone vibrated. Olivia. Just seeing her name no longer brought pain. It brought hope mixed with fear. I answered. Hey. Hi, she replied softly. How's your mother? Dr. Morris says she's improving. I smiled. That's wonderful. She asked about you. Tell her I'm still afraid of her cooking. Olivia laughed. I missed that. My heart tightened. I missed hearing you laugh. A few seconds of silence passed. Then she whispered, Can we meet tonight? Yes. At the lake. I closed my eyes. The same place. The same place. I'll be there. After the call ended, Mia looked at me. You still love her. I never stopped. Then what are you waiting for? I don't know if love is enough. She leaned back in her chair. Maybe love isn't the question. Then what is? Trust. Her answer stayed with me all day. Later that afternoon, Daniel stopped by my office. You look nervous, he said. I am. Good. Good. It means this matters. I smiled. I owe you more than I can ever repay. He shook his head. No, you don't. You believed Olivia when I couldn't. He folded his arms. I believed the man you used to be would eventually remember the woman he loved. I looked down. I almost became someone I didn't recognize. Daniel placed a hand on my shoulder. But you didn't stay that person. For the first time, I realized healing wasn't about erasing pain. It was about learning who I wanted to be after surviving it. That evening, I arrived at the lake just before sunset. The water reflected the orange sky exactly as I remembered. Then I saw Olivia walking toward me with a small velvet box in her hands. You came, she said. I promised I would. She stopped in front of me. I've carried something for a long time. She opened the box. Inside was the engagement ring I had bought years ago. My breath caught. You found it? She nodded. I found it the day before I disappeared. You kept it? Every single day. Why? Because I never stopped believing we would meet again. I looked at the ring, then back at her. I thought you threw it away. I couldn't. Tears filled her eyes. It reminded me that somewhere there was still a future worth fighting for. I gently took the ring. I spent months believing you had chosen someone else. I know. I said terrible things. I know. I should have trusted you. She stepped closer. We were both trapped. No, I said softly. You carried the heavier burden. She shook her head. We both suffered. The evening breeze moved across the lake. I've had 6 months to think, I said. So have I. I finally understand something. What? Real love isn't proved when life is easy. She smiled through her tears. When is it proved? When people choose each other even after everything falls apart. She reached for my hand. I still choose you. I held her fingers tightly. I still choose you too. She looked at the ring. Are we trying to go back? I smiled gently. No. Then what are we doing? We're starting over. With no secrets. With complete honesty. With no fear. We'll face fear together. She nodded. Yes. I slipped the ring onto her finger. This time neither of us rushed the moment. There were no grand speeches. Only quiet certainty. She laughed through happy tears. You finally asked. I should have done it years ago. You're doing it at exactly the right time. I wrapped my arms around her. For the first time in many months, my heart felt completely at peace. The invitation that once shattered my world had led me to a truth greater than heartbreak. It showed me who my real friends were. It revealed the courage hidden inside Olivia. It exposed the evil that fear had protected for too long. Most importantly, it changed me. I was no longer the broken man who lived only for yesterday. I had become someone willing to fight for truth, forgive with wisdom, and love without fear. As we walked away from the lake hand in hand, I realized our story had never been about a wedding invitation. It had always been about discovering that the strongest love is built on truth, trust, and the courage to never let go again.